Hey everybody, this is Matthew Movies coming at you with my review of Wall-E, the 2008 film that I personally feel like is a tale of two movies. I think there are parts of it that are absolutely amazing. I adore elements. I think it is just quite the achievement. And then there are other aspects that I feel let down the brilliant parts of this film and are pretty kind of pedestrian and preachy. And, you know, they're not horrendous. There isn't a single moment where I'm outraged or whatever, but there are parts of it that I'm like, I feel I'm let down the rest of the film pretty badly. Now, overall, I will say I do enjoy this film. I mean, for those of you who don't know what this movie is about, basically there's a robot on Earth that's been gathering up garbage to try to fix the environmental toll that the humanity has put on Earth, and he comes across another robot that is sent there trying to look for any actual like greenery or any plants that are growing to see that there's any signs that Earth has become habitable again. And off in the distance there's a spaceship with humanity, but really that's just the concept, the story per se. But really, for me, this movie comes down to the actual execution. And the first half of this film, or a third of the film, or however, I don't know exactly what the percentage of the movie it is, but the first aspect of this film, where it's first off just Wall-E going around the Earth trying to gather up the garbage, and then when he meets Eve and the way that they communicate and they grow an attachment for one another, and there's no dialogue. And then even once they get up into space and they're showing the environment and all that kind of stuff, I think that is all fantastic. I absolutely adore the character of Wall-E. I think he's so lovable, and the way that they're able to make you just kind of really come to really adore this character without any vocabulary or anything like that about except for when he says Eve. I mean, it's just absolutely fantastic the way they show his like living space where he's gathered up the aspects that the items, I should say, that he has found that he thinks are interesting, and show kind of a throwback to our society today. When he puts on like the video of people dancing, and when you see that he's trying to emulate them, and he's got the hat. I mean, he's such a lovable little guy, and you're just like, oh, you really come to care about him. And then when Eve shows up and they have kind of the interaction with one another, and he falls for her, I think it's fantastic. And I think Eve is just a very cool character. I love the way she looks. I think it's absolutely fantastically animated, and the connection that they build between the two of them just through, like, you know, laughter and kind of holding hands in their own way, and the shock between the two of them when they meet the electricity, where it kind of breaks her free of her just programming and gives her a bit more of a character. I thought all that was just outstanding. And then, you know, his heartbreak when she gets sent away, and the way that he travels after her, and just the fact that they're able to have these two little robots that you really feel this connection between the two of them. I mean, absolutely outstanding. And then once they get off into space, I mean, the animation is just so spectacular. Like the moment where Wall-E is going across all these like shiny items in the sky, I mean, just wow, it's just so visually lush and vibrant, and just, I mean, some of the best animation I think that has ever existed. Just absolutely blows me away. I think it's fantastic. I mean, from up until the point where they start interacting with other robots, I mean, this movie I thought was just such an incredible achievement. And then when you do get introduced, there's like a little Bernie, I think is what his name is, where this little robot that's obsessed with cleaning all the marks that Wall-E makes, because that's his job. He's a cleaning robot, and he hasn't had to deal with any a being like Wall-E that it leaves tracks everywhere. And just like that kind of interaction between the two of them is hysterical. But then you get introduced to the human characters, and to me, that's right off the hop where things kind of get a little bit meh. I mean, the whole idea where robots have do everything for them. I think it's an interesting concept. I think they could have done well with it, but the way that they go about it, to me, feels totally preachy. I mean, where they no longer interact with one another, they just interact with the screen. And, you know, I don't even think it's all that unrealistic. It just feels lesser than it feels like something you could see in any movie, and just the characters are just meh. And then I mean, when you have the two humans that kind of get broken of their programming, that they've broken free from the screen and started interacting with one another, I mean, it's kind of cute or whatever. But again, to me, it's just unremarkable. But I will say there is one human character that I thought had a pretty interesting story, and that's the captain of the ship, where he sees himself in kind of this grandiose light. He has this cabin, and where he's kind of put above everybody else. And he feels like he has responsibility, but in all reality, you find out pretty quickly that that's all a load of hogwash, and that he's just there as a figurehead. And when he does try to kind of exert some power, and the actual ship, the mechanism itself that he would have to use, kind of fights back against him. I did think that whole thing was interesting, and how the programming wants to keep the humanity at bay, and they need this figurehead or whatever. I thought his character was interesting. I thought he had an interesting arc, and I thought it was pretty well done. I'd say as far as the humans, he's by far the most interesting. And as things go on, where they all kind of get broken free, and the ship's going all topsy-turvy, I thought all that stuff was interesting. But overall, I'd say once the humans get involved, this movie goes pretty dramatically downhill. Now, I will say this: I did think it was fascinating. This is the first Pixar film that actually has a human being in it, and not just an animated human being, because obviously that's been in lots. But Fred Willard actually is in this movie as himself. There's footage of him back when he was a president. I thought it was fascinating that they did that. They're trying to put him in our world. And I will say, I think that in some regards, as to the Creationists, where they're kind of like, this is a warning. I know this is an animated movie, but they were humans like us once, and now they've become this because of what was allowed to happen. And so, I feel that might have been a little bit of what they were going for, but I don't really care at the end of the day. I still find it fascinating when they have that shot of all the captains of the ship, and where you see humans, and they're becoming more and more animated. I thought that was fascinating. Now, I will, in all honesty, I will tell you that this movie holds a special place in my heart, because this is the movie that I saw with the woman who is now my wife on the first anniversary of ours, when we were just dating. And at the time, we were looking to move in with one another, and we decided that we were going to. And I went out and I bought her. I bought two toys. I bought a little figure of Wally and a little figure of Eve, and I gave her Eve, and I kept Wally. And I told her that when we moved in together, they'd be reunited. And so, it holds a little bit of a special place in my heart for that reason. But I do think I see this movie in a fairly impartial way, because I still think that the first part of it is just absolutely amazing, but there is a part that definitely lets it down. So if I was to give this film a score out of 10, I'd give it a solid 8. I think the parts of it that are fantastic are amazing enough to get you a really solid score like that, but I do think that it gets kind of pedestrian in parts. So those are my thoughts on Wall-E. Let me know in the comment section below what you think, if you're a fan of it, if you hate it, if you think it's very pedestrian and boring or whatever. Other than that, please hit that like button, hit that share button. It makes it much more likely that other people will come check out this video and let me know what they think, which would be absolutely awesome, because I love talking to people about films. Speaking of which, if you are new here or you haven't done it yet, please hit subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you can find out when I put out a new video, and come and give me your thoughts, and we can have that back and forth. Aside from all that though, have yourself a good day.